I was living for him for a long time. I spent the last 25 years with dudes that have used me in some sort of way. Don't let somebody else hinder your dreams. He used meth to stop wanting to do heroin. He slammed me on the wall by my neck. But he never hit me or anything. I think he was like, oh shit. My peace times were the times where he was in jail. I feel free for the first time in forever. Fake family, fake friends, I don't have time for you. I'm taking care of myself now. Stay out my inbox. I don't want to allow everybody else's problems or burdens to affect my life in such a way that I forget who I am again.
It's a dirty truth for Deontay Young. Hit a main course, yeah, the entree done. Pull up on the gang, all the fly day ones. Tune in, come and see what Deontay done. It's a dirty truth for Deontay Young. Hit a main course, yeah, the entree done. Pull up on the gang, all the fly day ones. Tune in, come and see what Deontay done. Like, just vibe with it.
Melissa.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good.
I tell you what, I never wanted to see you again in this room. Never want to see you again. Not in here.
Here I am.
First and foremost, I have to explain to you that when I got the news of your husband, that was the most devastating thing that I could ever imagine would happen, because it was only 12 days after you guys were here.
It's crazy.
And it was bad enough when he said 14 to 16 months that they were anticipating he would be around. I got to tell you, I said that you guys were my new cousins, and this was May 25th. And here we are 2.5 months later after he died, almost 3 months since we did the interview. And I felt, I can't wait to get to know this guy. I mean, he's got that hood,
charisma.
The hood swag,
yeah.
The charisma. He was all about the shoes, and it just broke my heart. And my wife can tell you that we were on the cruise ship. It was a Friday night, and we got the news, and I was torn apart. And the reason why I was torn apart is because I kept messaging him days before that, and even a couple days before that. And he said to me, "Bad news, bro." And then I said, "What?" He says, "I'm not going to tell you, man. You enjoy your vacation. I'll tell you when you get back." Aww. And I screenshotted that message. He said, "It's not looking good, but I don't want to ruin your vacation." What I want to know from you is that, are you okay on some level? Because I know you're not going to be okay on all levels.
Right. I'm okay. I'm not great. I'm not bad. I'm okay. I'm at a place where I'm okay. We'll get into that. It was traumatic. It was extremely traumatic. His death was something that I could replay every day. Mm-hmm. But it knocked me down. It knocked me down hard for a couple weeks, but I have the kids. They can't see mama break.
Yeah.
And the kids, and just the fact that everybody deals with stuff differently. But to me, I'm like, what is being sad gonna do? What is sitting here crying gonna do? It's not gonna bring him back. It's not gonna help me feel any better. So I had to remind myself, he would constantly be like, don't be sad. Don't be sad. I want you to do all this stuff that I couldn't do. I want you to go out and do it. So
yeah, all that is just awful. When I think about this whole situation, I think about grief, mm-hmm. pain, heartbreak, devastation. I want you to tell me about the days after you left here in May. What were those days like with him? Because when he was here, he was complaining about the pain that he felt in his liver, and every morning the pain. And you talked about Jackson, your 5-year-old son. You talked about how he wondered why daddy didn't have energy like he used to.
Yeah.
I just want to know, what was it like in those days after you left here?
So, well, it was only 12 days, so it was it progressed pretty quickly. So, well, the 27th was my 40th birthday, and we were at the cancer center all day, and that's when they did another gamma knife procedure on his brain.
Yeah.
And when they did that, they had found that there was more cancer on the brain than there was month prior. So there was up to, I think they said it was up to 16 brain tumors.
16.
16 just on his brain. So they did radiation that day. They did the gamma knife, and they also did some radiation on his liver. So we did that. We went home. I would say the next day, he was just in a lot more pain in the liver, just a lot more pain. And over probably the next 2 days, he just really started to swell. Like, you know, you see those, like, starving people and their abdomen is, like, so descended and big.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was a small guy, and his stomach was just, like, getting bigger and bigger. And,
Is that with a tumor?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was from, essentially, they gave us such a bullshit runaround.
Yeah.
So I ended up calling the doctor. I drove him back out there because I was concerned that his liver was shutting down. And they told us that he was constipated. So they just started giving him a slew of laxatives and sent us back home. We went back home. We were home for another day, and it just got worse. He couldn't eat. He couldn't really drink. He just stayed in bed, and his legs were swelling, like just all kinds of stuff. So he was actually due for another treatment. He was due to start chemo that Friday. He was due to start chemo. And so we went in because you have to get blood work and stuff done before you can get your chemo, like the same morning. So we went in, we got his blood work done, and like his liver function tests were terrible, like that of your liver's failing.
Yeah.
So that day they admitted him into the hospital. I think, yeah, he ended up getting out from the hospital the next day, just like the same thing. It's just the cancer. There's not, much we can do. We're going to send you home and hope that your levels kind of even out so we can start your chemo. So we went home again a couple days, and nothing. It just got worse. So
now when you were dealing with him at that time, were you guys able to lay in the same bed, or was he had to be separated because of all the pain?
We were still in the same bed. I stayed with him. I stopped going to work because it was just getting bad. I hired a couple extra people, and I just stayed at home with him all the time. I couldn't even run up to the store because he'd be calling. I just wouldn't leave him. So he was still in the bed. We just had to have all this stuff to keep him elevated because he couldn't lay down. He had to have his legs up, and so we were still in the bed up until we went back to the hospital because he was just in so much pain, and he was on palliative care. So he was on all kinds of pain medicine, and it just wasn't working. So we went back again. They admitted him and kept him overnight. He was sepsis. And just basically they're like, this is it, man. We can't really do anything else for you. You can't get chemo. You can't get, it was his liver and his kidneys because they, coexist. You can't get, what's that called? Kidney, whatever, you know what I mean? I can't even think of the word.
Kidney, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Infusions or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can't get none of that stuff. So they're like, you can stay here or you can go home on hospice. And so he's like, well, my son starts baseball tomorrow, so I need to go home. I got to go home. So we signed up with hospice. And they were great. They were there that night. They put a hospital bed in the living room and brought us all this awful crap.
So when you say sepsis, I know, I don't really know what that means, and I know a lot of people probably won't know what that means. Explain what that is.
From what I know, it's an infection in his bloodstream. So, I mean, normally a hospital will not send you home when you're sepsis. They will give you antibiotics and keep, like, that's what they did for the first 24 hours. They were giving him antibiotics, and they would retest his blood every, like, 6 hours to see if he was still sepsis, and he was just still sepsis. And they're like, you should stay and get more antibiotics, but you have an option to take the antibiotics home. So that's the part he took. Yeah. And then, so we got on hospice. At this point, they suspected his brain was off from all the radiation that they had done to his brain. And so he was really, when we got home on hospice, he just really got, like, incoherent, you know, like you couldn't really conversate with him. He was hallucinating. He was there, but he wasn't, you know.
Do you think he was aware of what was going on?
I think so, because he would talk in his sleep. He would tell the kids to take care of me. He told Jackson to take care of his PlayStation. Like, he would say things, and he would, like, but he would see things a lot too. So, long story short, he was only on hospice for 2 days. And then, well, the hospice nurse came to the house 2 days prior, and Steve's like, how long do I have? And she was like, probably a week or two. Like, you're not eating, you're not drinking, you can't do anything. And so it was 2 days.
Was he rejecting eating and drinking, or was it just he just
I
couldn't?
was really, like, kind of I was forcing at least liquids. Like, you have to drink these liquids. And even after he was on hospice, they gave us all kinds of medication, Oxycontin, morphine, methadone, everything you can think of he was on. So they're like, oh, he needs more laxatives because of the opiates. So they're going to block him up. That was awful idea, because prior to that, he was able to get up and go to the bathroom on his own. He didn't want to use the bedside toilet. Yeah. He was the type of person, like, I was with him for 11 years and never, like, saw him go to use the bathroom or whatever. He was super weird about that. So I knew something was wrong when he's like, you gotta put me on the toilet. So that night I had to put him on the toilet so many times, like, pick him up and put him on there. And me and Jackson would both sleep in the living room because he was in there in the hospital bed. So this was his last night. I had put him on and off of the toilet, and he was just like, he was in so much pain. He was screaming, and it was torturous for all of us. And so I would put him on the toilet, and then I'd go in the other room so he could do his thing, and then I would come back and help him. So I did that. I put him on the toilet for the last time. I left the room. I heard a bunch of stuff fall over, and I'm like, shit. So I go in there, and he's like, you know, eyes rolled back in his head. He's shaking. He's drooling. I'm like, oh my God. So come to find out, it was a seizure. From the brain swelling. So I got him back in the bed. I was able to get him up, get him cleaned up, get him back in the bed. And hospice, you're not supposed to call 911. Like, you're there to die.
Yeah.
So he's just like screaming. Jackson's still sleeping. Thank God. He never woke up through any of it. Never saw any of this. And he's like, just give me more pain meds. And I'm like, you'll die. I'll kill you, and it'll kill you if I give you more. Because I had already given him a nice amount. Like, he shouldn't have been feeling anything. So I call hospice, and I tell them, and they're like, you might want to call 911. So we called him. They immediately booted him off hospice. But they came and they took him. Jackson's still sleeping. He slept through all of it. Like, God was looking out because it was bad. They took him to the hospital, and I had his brother and my sister-in-law met me at the hospital, and they wouldn't let me see him for a while. And the doctor came in, and they're like, you know, this is it. Like, I don't know what you want us to do, but you're his wife. You got to make that choice. And I'm like, well, I want to talk to him. And they're like, well, he's not coherent. Like, he's not going to really be able to conversate with you.
I wonder at what point was it when he went on Facebook and he said, somebody please get a hold of Melissa. And he just kept, like, it was urgent.
That was the day he got sent home on hospice. And that was the last day that he was really coherent, you know. And yeah, that.
And just in the little bit of time that I was around him, I was able to discern that he is a very optimistic person who will stop at nothing for his family and his family's well-being. And so to see this in my mind as you describe it, it had to be catastrophic for you to even witness, because like you said, you had been with them at this point for 11 years. You guys had became a couple in 2014.
Yep.
And you got married 10 years later in 2024. So this is all happening in June of 25. And 24 in June, you guys got married. So this is the man that you have been through thick and thin, and a lot, you know, thin.
Yeah.
And, you know, went to hell and back and everything. And now all of this is spiraling out of control at this moment. What are you thinking about this rapid decline?
I was just like panicking, not even for myself, for him. You know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't fair for him. He had so much that he wanted to do, and that, you know, the time frame that we were given that year or whatever, we're like, we're going to go on this trip, we're going to do this, we're going to do everything I wanted him to be able to do everything that he wanted to do before. Like, we knew inevitably he was going to die, but it just wasn't fair that it was like that. And especially for him, like, sometimes I wish that maybe I would have gave him the pain medicine. He would have felt better enough to just die at home peacefully. Yeah. And that's, I mean, like, when we finally got to the hospital, they did let me go back and see him, myself, my brother, and sister-in-law. And he was alert. He was awake. He talked to me. And he told us all how much he loved us. And I had to ask him, do you want to be put on a ventilator? Because that was his only hope was a ventilator. And I asked him several times, because he kept telling me, like, he wasn't subconsciously making the choice. And he's like, put me on the vent. I'm not done yet. And that's crazy, because that's the last time I ever got to hear his voice.
So what happened at the moment after that, after he said that? Why didn't you hear his voice anymore?
Well, when they ventilated him, they sedated him. So he was basically put into a coma, you know. And the only thing that they were trying to do, they were trying to get him, the only thing I wanted them to try to do is get him to a level where I can take him home and let him go without pain, without all of this. I just want him to be able to go in peace, you know. And it was awful. And so many people came. Like, they're like, only 2 people can come up, and it was elbow to elbow in that hospital room. They said they never seen so many people. But throughout the day, they kept, you know, giving him medicine, checking his levels, and his every organ just started failing. Like, his liver was completely failed by the end of the day. His kidney is completely. By the end of the day, he went in the hospital, like, I think like 7 in the morning. And by 6 at night, they had to have medicine just to give him a pulse, Like, he was just, everything was shutting down, and it was awful. It was just so awful because my older two kids were there the whole time. They were in the room the whole time, and just, it's a horrific thing to watch, and to watch your children have to be broken like that. It's just terrible. But at the end of the day, I had to make that choice. Like, are you ready to shut these machines off?
You said that to him.
No, they kept asking me. I couldn't, like...
Because you couldn't communicate
I feel like he could hear me because he would, like, move his eyes or, you know what I mean? But he couldn't talk. He couldn't open his eyes or any of that stuff at all.
The only context I have with this is talking to my wife. She made it clear to me a long time ago that when they put you on hospice, it's basically a death sentence. Yes. Now, I personally, knock on wood, I'm glad that I've never experienced that. She has experienced it. So whenever
That's how I was telling her in here. I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. When you said all that stuff, I'm thinking the things that she told me. I'm just like, oh, wow. They are, like, setting you up for this. And,
yeah, and that's, 44 years old. It's just, it's unreal. So, the doctors all came in, and I had to tell them, shut it off. So they're like, this is going to happen. We're going to shut all the, all the medications off one by one. We'll shut everything else off, and we'll bump up his fentanyl. Because he was on fentanyl the whole day at the hospital. His worst fucking...
So why would they do that? Is that like a death knell or something?
I think it's like in a nicer way, like an intentional overdose is the only thing that I could make sense of, Mm-hmm. But so they started shutting everything off, and they're like, we're going to take the vent out, and they took off all the wires, everything, so that I could lay with him in that moment. And I really don't understand why they took that vent out. I wish they didn't, because all I hear when I think about him is his last breaths, like gasping last breaths.
So you can actually hear that.
I was laying next to him, yeah.
The whole time. Was he convulsing?
No, he wasn't awake. He was still sedated. Like, he never woke up again, but it was like and awful. And
you were surrounded by people, but you were in the bed with them. Mm-hmm. What hospital was that?
That happened. He died at Tri-Point. Mm-hmm. They were trying to get him. They were gonna ship him back downtown, but there was no way he would have made it. And it just sucks. My kids were there, and they heard his last breaths too, and then after that, the doctor comes in and makes sure that, his heart stopped beating, and I just sat there forever. Like, everybody ended up leaving, and I'm just sitting there like, I'm just supposed to leave him here and just leave, Like, that was just so unreal to me that yesterday I'm a wife. Today I'm a widow. It's just, that's the stuff that makes me cry.
Wow.
It was awful. When he had signed up for hospice, like, I kind of had accepted that this is coming, but, when you hear, like, people passing, they passed away, it's usually like in their sleep, or you think of like it's going to be like a peaceful transition, you know what I mean? And it was terrible.
I can't imagine what it would be like.
Terrible.
You're laying there with your husband, and even though he's your husband for about a year, he's been your partner for much longer. Mm-hmm. And then you are laying next to him as he's in the process of dying, like wrapping your mind around that. I don't even know how you did it.
Yeah, it was so hard, and like it was almost weird and like kind of a sickening way, because I had seen him overdose so many times, and like I kept telling everybody, like, he's gonna bounce back, we're gonna go home, he's gonna bounce back, because he always came back from the overdoses. But this wasn't that. And
so when he was dying, you were saying that he's going to come back because you saw that?
Well, not after they shut off the machines, but prior to then, like certain time, like if I would like talking to him or whatever, his pulse would start to go up, and I was like, yeah, like everybody's like, keep it up, and so in the back of my head, I'm like, he's there. He'll go home. He'll go home. He always goes home.
That's devastating to hear that.
It is.
Devastating. And what makes it worse to me is I think about the whole overall picture where not only did they say 14 to 16 months and then it just goes into just days, but I'm also thinking about how, like we talked about before, you overcame what you thought was like the biggest hurdle.
Yeah,
like
I thought like we finally got it, you know,
Yeah.
like we're finally there. And even then, like in January when he had his biopsy and they said it was a non-spreading cancer, that's what really always pisses me off.
And then it was at the end of April where it said that he had stage 4, and it was his brain and it was his liver and his lung.
Yeah. And then the last time that he had went into the hospital, like I said, he had more in his brain, he had more in his liver. It had moved to his bile duct. So, which means that it was like, if it's in your bile duct, it's going everywhere. I think they said it was in his intestines. Like, it was just everywhere.
16 tumors.
It was insane. Insane.
That is unreal. And I didn't realize the children were there when he died.
Yeah, not my youngest. My youngest, I couldn't even tell him for 2 days. I could not tell him.
That
was probably almost just as bad as watching him die.
When you left, first of all, it was frightening when you said that they were waiting for make sure his heart had stopped beating. It's just frightening to think of.
Yeah.
So when all that happened, I mean, how did you get yourself to even leave? Like you said, it just didn't seem right to leave him there.
No, it didn't. Like literally, like, you know, when you go visit somebody in the hospital and you leave them there, they're laying there alone. But this time he's laying there. I'm never going to see him again. When I leave this room, I'm never going to see him again. You know, so it was just, I don't know. I think like, I'm like, okay, I gotta get my shit together. My kids are here. I gotta get up and go. You know, I can't.
And I know you said that people, family and friends, so-called family and friends, they were taking pictures of him.
Yeah.
They were taking pictures.
I'm pretty sure somebody was taking pictures of him, and it's not only so disrespectful, but morbid on so many levels, especially when, I mean, I have a picture of him, but that was my husband, who I was by his side every day for 11 years. These people haven't seen him in years, you know, like no real connection there. Like,
and no tact either.
Just unreal. Some people are just unreal.
You know what made it more awful for me, and it was just gut wrenching, is when after he died, I had saw a video that you put up of the day that you were married, and it was at the Charlton Abbott, and I actually did an interview at the Charlton Abbott before we came here, and got this place.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I know the owners very well.
Yeah, they are really awesome and cool, and just unbelievable. But the idea that little bit of time, when I watch that video, it's like the time of your life. It looks like you guys have 40, 50 years in your future together. And at some point after the fact that he died, did you think back on that day? Because that had to be one of the greatest days of your life.
You know, and some people had taken this the wrong way recently, because I say like we rushed to get married because I knew that he was sick. Otherwise, we probably never would have gotten married. And I put, within 6 months, I paid for everything and planned that wedding just because I wanted him to be able to experience that. Like, he had wanted to get married for years, and I just, you know, something you talk about, you never like, you know, everybody would be like, go to the courthouse. And I'm like, no, if I'm getting married, I'm getting married, you know? So I wanted him to be able to have that experience. And even then on our wedding, he was already sick then. Like we didn't really, I think we were home by like 9:00 and he was in bed by 10,
What was it? The kidney?
The lungs.
Or the lung? Because he had the one lung.
Yeah. And he had the cancer growing. He wasn't diagnosed yet, but it was there, and it had been growing already for the 2 years. So, yeah, there was just, I did, like I had told you before, I did everything I could to make sure that he had the best of the time that he had here.
Yeah.
That it was his happiest that I could possibly make it for him.
I know I probably sound weird when I say it's so shocking because this probably happens more frequently than we realize, but it's amazing because I think it was 2023 where he finally kicked the habit. Is that what you were saying? Where he actually got off of the drugs?
Yeah, he only had almost 3 years sober, which is insane. And like, I've known him since I was 15 years old, and he's battled with addiction ever since he was old enough to use drugs, really. So it was like 8 out of the 11 years we were together was a lot of hell. It was a lot of hell, but I've always known that he's a good person,
Yeah.
He had some wicked demons.
So just the fact that you hung in there, because that's got to be treacherous dealing with someone. It's almost like dealing with like a toddler who won't stop throwing the glass on the floor, and then you got to keep sweeping it up.
Yeah,
that's what it kind of sounds like to me.
And then you can't fix it. You know,
and
it's a lot of damage.
The fact that you endured, like I said, just having that commitment. Obviously,
I had a heart attack too.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I had a stress-induced heart attack. They called it broken heart syndrome. From just
the drugs?
Yeah, from dealing with all that. It was all on me. I was always like, he provided when he could provide, but I was the sole provider. Like I did all, like he never saw a bill. I did everything, you know what I mean? And it's a lot. On top of worrying whether or not he was going to die that day, or you know what I mean, or fall off the deep end, or get arrested, or who knows.
Two things really stood out to me when he was here with you back in May. And the one thing was just how much he wanted you guys to be taken care of. The other thing was he wanted you to be happy, and you were like, no. And he said, no, seriously. Mm-hmm. And what are your thoughts on that now? How do you feel about that now that you have this context since this happened?
Well, like I said, when we had his memorial, the person that came to me and told me, like, you were put there for him to give him a good life, and you did that. Now it's your turn. It's your turn. So I really got that stuck in my head. Like, it's my turn to live my life, like do all the things that, I mean, I don't want to say that he hindered me from doing those things, but in a big sense, he did, you know, like my entire, like, you know how like you talk about your spouse or whatever, your kids, and you're like, that's my whole world. That was my whole world. Keeping that man alive was my entire existence. You know, I went to work, I went home, I paid bills. I used to call myself the mom bot because that's all I did. That's all I did was go to work and be a mom and take care of everybody else. And it was extremely draining and stressful.
COVID 100 times. He's had pneumonia. He's been in the hospital. He's had seizures to where he blacks out. And they're like, oh, you know, he's going to die tomorrow. We give it a week. He's still here. Yeah, you know, the other day we were so shocked when I came in and he was just like, he came over and visited him and he's just talking away like, you know, nothing ever happened. So you don't give up the faith and the hope. I mean, chemo is a very strong medicine.
I'm really scared, mostly because, like I was telling him,
that they let it grow in his lung for so long that his body is depleted so much since then. He was 185 pounds.
I got one lung now.
Now he's 130.
You know, so I got half the oxygen helping.
Yeah.
You know, like my immune system needs oxygen to
saw
run.
One thing I was really wondering during this whole ordeal is how are the kids holding up, especially Jackson, the 5-year-old?
So Jackson is good now. It took me 2 days to tell him that Daddy was gone, and it was hard. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. So for the first 2 days, I just kept I was trying to not kind of prepare him, but kind of prepare him. Daddy was really, really, he thought he was just in the hospital. Daddy was really, really sick. He's really getting worse, and I'm not sure if he's going to make it. I kept trying to tell him like that, but then, after a couple days, I had to sit down and look at him and say, the angels came and took Daddy to heaven. And that's how I said it. And he just kind of fell over and cried. And it was terrible for both of us. And over the following weeks, it was really hard because they don't really understand the concept of death, so he would ask questions like, how much money do I need to get him back? Or,
wow.
Maybe if I pray every day, maybe God will bring him back. And it had to get to the point where I had to be so blunt with him. You want to be easy, and I don't know the right way to deal with that stuff. But I had to be blunt and have to say, Jackson, you're never going to see him again. He's not coming back. He's never coming back. You won't see him until you're in heaven one day. And saying that really is terrible. And looking at his little face and saying that you're never going to see him again, stop asking.
Yeah.
Just sucks. And it's usually, here lately, sometimes he'll go a couple days without asking, but it's usually at least once a day he'll say he misses him or he wishes he could see him. And I'm just always he's with you, he sees you, he's keeping us safe and making sure we're happy and, So, but my oldest is really, like I said, the night Steve went into the worst, when he was sleeping, he was saying, just in his sleep, take care of your mom. Make sure you take care of your mom.
In his sleep, he was saying.
Yeah. He knew. So Dylan really took that to heart. I mean, that kid, I wouldn't be able to survive without him being as, he just really, I think Steve did talk about it the last time, how he was starting a business, and he's just really taken off with that. He's making good money. He's working every day. He's selling jobs. Is
Dylan the oldest or the second oldest?
He's the oldest.
Okay.
He's actually turning 20 this week. So he's just really put so much effort into, and I think a lot of it is Steve wanted that for him.
Yeah.
Steve wanted to see him, Steve wanted to teach him how to climb trees and stuff, and he's been teaching himself, and he's Steve's keeping me safe because he's climbing trees and like a lunatic, and but he's doing great.
It's Dylan's birthday this week. I'll have to have him take me out for a drink for his birthday. Wednesday's his birthday.
But he's doing really good. But we kind of had a chance. We had a few people over last night, and that's what we were, talking about, the part of the resentments, that, because I can see the relief in him as well, because so much of that he had to see and endure. Like, he was the oldest, so, and he was like, all the time Steve was in jail, he was the man of the house, and you know what I mean, like, he had to take care of so much and step in when Steve wasn't there. And like I said, with the overdoses, it's not something he ever forgot about. And I think that he forgave him to a point, but he held a lot of anger
So when
for that.
when you say resentment, you're talking about Dylan to Steve because of the proliferation over many years of his drug addictions and the ups and the downs and a lot more downs. You know, that to me that's one of the tragic details of this. Not nearly as tragic as the fact that Jackson misses his dad, but he will slowly forget the memories that he has, and he'll be to a point where he won't even remember them. And I was just looking at something last night about JFK Jr. doesn't remember his dad, President Kennedy, because he was assassinated when he was 3 years old. And that's the sad thing. He may have some memories because of he's 5, but it's going to be very cloudy the more time goes. And you're talking now about Dylan, the oldest. He has never fully embraced Steve because of all that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, his dad also, Dylan's biological father, was also an addict, still is an addict all this time later. But Dylan was a lot younger. He like seen some stuff, but he never really Dylan's dad was terrible. He would steal everything. Like he was just terrible. But he would like steal Dylan's Xbox and sell it. I would buy another one before Dylan knew it was gone. You know what I mean? Like Dylan never really knew the effects until I left his dad, and Dylan was actually kind of upset with me. Like, why did you leave my dad? And you know, I eventually had to tell him the truth about all of that. So, and then I meet Steve, and Steve was great for a while. Well, come to find out, like, I knew Steve from the past. I knew that he had, you know, his struggles. And when we had reconnected, he had assured me that he was clean and sober, and he was not. He just hid it from me for a while, and Dylan was angry about that. And I think not even a year, I think like a year of us being together, I was at work. We lived in Mayfield Heights, and I was at work. I was working out in Paynesville. This is when I worked for Molly Maid, and Dylan was at school. Dylan came home from school and found Steve slumped in a chair. I think he was in 5th grade, maybe.
Wow.
Young. So he calls me, and he's like, Steve won't wake up. And I'm like, oh, shit. In the back of my head, I knew what happened, but Dylan didn't have any idea. And I'm like, you gotta smack him, like, do something, make a bunch of noise, see if you can get him to wake up. And he's like, he's not moving. He's like drooling, he's not moving. Oh my God. So I had to tell him, you gotta call 911, buddy. And I couldn't tell him, you know, what the cops came, and the cops told him, you know, what it was, and almost got charged with child endangerment, like, whole bunch of stuff. And it happened again and again, and every time Dylan was like, Dylan was angry with me, is just as angry with me as he was with him. And
with the consistency of his addiction, did you ever get sucked into that?
Nope. Refuse to ever. A lot of people asked me that, and a lot of people assumed that because he was on it, that I was on it. And, you know, from my childhood, my parents, I always remember, like, how I felt when they were drunk or high or whatever, hitting us, or I would never cause that pain on my kids. And I don't know, disgusted me, you know?
So walk me through this. How are you able to be so opposite of that and yet stay with this guy that is living a life of very pervasive drug abuse, and it doesn't seem like there is any end in sight. How are you able to stick by his side? That sounds like a very, very difficult challenge.
It was awful. It was awful. And I just kept thinking, because, he would promise every time that, he was done, and I would believe him. And I would look back at my previous relationship and be like, well, Dustin, he didn't care. He would just pick up and use. He didn't care. He wasn't one of the ones that wanted to be clean. You know what I mean? Like, Steve always wanted to be clean. He always wanted to have that strength. That he just never was a headstrong person. If he quit something, it was because it was forced.
Dustin?
You know what I mean? No, Steve.
Oh, Steve.
Yeah, he just didn't have that strong will, So, I mean, even now, I'm like, I know why I stayed, because I know the person that he is without the substances.
What was the thing that you loved the most about him that made you say, okay, I think this guy might be worth my time despite all of his shortcomings with these drugs?
When I left my older two's dad, he told me, if you leave, I'm not their dad anymore. And he was for real. We ain't heard from him in 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, he did harass me for quite a while, trying to get me back, but nothing to kids. He owes like almost $40,000 in child support, but either way, I guess I would compare Steve to that, and Steve was better than that was, and more times than I can count, I had tried to get rid of Steve or kick Steve out, or he wasn't going nowhere. He wasn't about to leave nowhere, and I didn't have nowhere to go, Like, my parents ain't going to take care of me. Nobody's going to take care of me, so where am I going to go? So, and then he would go to jail again. He'd be gone for 8 months, 11 months, whatever it was, and, you'd hear all of the I'm sorry's and never again, and, it's clean when he gets out, but you never know how long it's going to last. And every time I would think, yeah, this is it. Like, he's done. He's finally done. But
do you believe that you were emotionally damaged from the previous guy, and then getting into with this guy, it was just more of the same?
He, despite his use or all of that stuff, he always treated me like the gift, you know what I mean? Like, me and the kids both. So he never, like, and it's a stupid thing to compare. Like, he never stole from us. He never, but he never would, call me out my name or anything like that. Like, I just felt like, he was a good dad. And then, I didn't think I could have any more kids. He didn't have any kids, and I got pregnant while he was on work release. That's how Jackson came along.
Oh, wow.
And then,
it sounds like some self-esteem issues that had you staying with Steve.
Yeah,
and,
it was a lot of, you know what I mean? And my dad would, he didn't fully accept Steve until I married him, and I understand in a sense, but in a sense, I'm like, what did you expect me to fall in love with? You know what I mean? Like, my dad has since he stopped drinking. He's
that's right, because you saw your parents.
Good person.
You saw your parents abusing.
Yeah, and they would hit each other, and me and Steve didn't do that. We weren't aggressive with each other or anything like that. So I guess I saw it just as,
product of your environment. You saw
a
what
normal
you saw.
thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's what love looks like to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the more that I think about it now, and I never would speak ill of Steve. Like, he was my person, and but there's a lot of things now that I think back that I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And everything happens for a reason. And just I would remember coming home and just like, man, what am I going to do? I'm just going to live like this the rest of my life and then die and that's it. You know what I mean? Like he just, once he got clean, he really didn't want to so much participate in family life. I guess that's a nice way to say it. He basically stayed in our bedroom. He smoked a lot of pot, and which is whatever, you know, I don't care about that. But he basically stayed in there. He worked when he could work. When he was physically able to work, he worked, and he gave me all of his money. He came to me. But when he didn't, like, I still had to take Jackson to daycare. And I would go to work, and I would work for, 10 hours or whatever. Come home, he's still in the same spot. Dishes everywhere, like, house is a mess. And I got to come home. I got to clean all that shit up. I got to cook dinner. Like, I would be like, and I'll get an attitude, yeah, sometimes. And he would be like, why are you mad? I'm like, I just want some help. Like, just help me. And just even come out here and sit with us. You know what I mean? Like, it was just... It got like that, and then I started having some resentment, and even like my kids would be like, "Why doesn't he do anything?" Like even Jackson would be like, "When I have a wife, I'm never gonna make her clean everything." And I would tell Steve like he said that. Well, it isn't my. I don't want to wash dishes. You think that I'm at work all day, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to go home and wash the dishes. Right. You know what I mean? It's just like things like that. Like, we're a team, we're a partnership, we're in this together. Everything, you know what I mean? It was just that's something that always really got me.
Yeah,
it always really got me, and I'm like,
yeah. It sounds
why the hell would I even come home? Why would I want to come home?
It sounds like that he
lost a part of him, and he would always say that, like, when he gave up everything, and he would use that, like, he did a lot of spending outside of once he stopped. I mean, he was using like $200 plus a day when he was in active addiction. So when he stopped, it was like $150, $200 a week on weed. It was $200 a week on poker, because that was his like, and he would be like, at least it's not dope, or at least it's not this. And then it was cigarette. It was just a lot of spending when he couldn't really living outside the means, for sure. So I was really just struggling. Like, he would text me at work, be like, oh, remember, it's poker, I need $200. And I'll be like, well, the car insurance is due today. And he'd be like, well, I have poker. Like, for real, dude? Like,
it sounded like he grew up in a way where he really couldn't help himself and didn't really have self-awareness.
Right. But I said, he just wasn't.
But at the same time, he loved you more than he could, like, really prove. Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds like.
I know that he loved us. I know that he loved us more than anything. But I just think that, in some ways he was selfish like that. He wouldn't think of, like, the bigger picture, like, we should own a house now, not be doing things like this when you're not able to work. Like, we need to prepare for the future. And then, when he did really, really get sick, I didn't care. I was just buying him every new shoe that came out, every new hat, Jordan outfit, whatever. I was just buying it all because I just wanted to, like I said, I wanted him to have that experience that I knew wasn't going to last very long. So I was living for him for a long time. And now every day I use it. I'm sad. I can be sad, or I can use it as a motivation to, you know what I mean? Like, I spent the last 25 years with dudes that have use me in some sort of way, and I haven't been able to live my life.
They were broken, and they were breaking you more.
Yeah,
I feel like that was me in a lot of ways. For so long. Yeah,
you think that you could save. You see the good in everybody, and you think that you can save them, but I'm at the point now where I'm like,
you're like scheduling
if you're
parties.
not doing me no good, you're not going to be part of my life.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it anymore. Like, I'm here now to make sure, like, I went and got life insurance. Like, my kids are going to be good, you know? Like, we're just...
I admire that resilience. I know you said that you have, you want to get something off your chest. You want, just kind of basically go all the way there with your dirty truth and what you want to say to people. And, you have the floor, just so you know.
I know. There's so many things I should have wrote down to say, but I do want to tell everybody that might be going through a similar situation or even is currently in a situation, like, don't let somebody else hinder your dreams, or if they're not feeding your dreams or feeding into, making sure you both are on that same level, don't waste your time, because life goes so much faster than you think it does. And I've heard that from so many, like, older people throughout my life and never really listened. And now I'm like, damn, like, you're about to be middle age,
Yeah.
Like,
So,
it goes so fast. So don't let people hinder you, and stay out my inbox. All Steve's friends.
they're in your inbox.
Stay out my inbox.
What are they saying to you?
I'm talking like young ass kids too. They're all like,
What are they saying?
trying to take me out. Somebody want to go on vacations. There's this one that like keeps on and on and on. I'm like, dude. Like,
Wait a minute, they're trying to nail you?
oh yeah.
Oh Jesus!
Come on now.
I mean, I guess
I'm like, that's one of the things. Steve's like, I want you to move on. I want you to be happy. Please, none of my friends. And I would never, because all of them are either addicts or recovering addicts. And I'm never doing that again. That is a promise to myself. I will never. But yeah, they'll like takes me on dates, take me on trips. I'll be like, man, that's snaky. And then there's one guy that keeps on and on and on. And I like nicely, like not interested. I'm not trying to be with nobody. Like I'm taking care of myself now. And this guy will come back like, I wasn't even trying to get with you.
he just wanted to nail you. He wasn't trying to get with you. He's not lying to you.
I'm like, he said, like, you're not even my type. I'm like, boy, come on.
But what he means by that is his type doesn't say no. His type doesn't say no, so you're not his type.
Right, for sure. And then like just like fake family, fake friends, like just I don't have time for you anymore. I'm not going to entertain you. I have goals that I feel like I'm so far behind everybody else now than what I should have been. And that was fine. Like, I was willing to build that with Steve. Like, we wanted to finally grow, but we're just so far behind. And now, like, that's my focus. Like, I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to, my business is doing good.
What's your business?
I own a cleaning service.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been doing that for 8 years. And, the goal was always, I have a degree, so I could essentially, hopefully that would run itself, so I can go work on my degree and do the easy stuff, sit down, desk work. But people don't want to work, so I still got to work every day because, I can't keep...
So what you're really saying is that people are going to be mad at you because they feel like when you say don't let someone hinder your dreams, that they're feeling like that you're saying Steve hindered your dreams.
Yeah, and I feel like people would be mad at me because if you see me out, you see me like happy, like
yeah.
And I even told my sister-in-law, and I hope that my brother-in-law doesn't get mad because Steve is this hero, but in a sense, I feel free for the first time in forever. Like, free to make my own choices, free to, if I want to go out and dance, I can go out and dance. You know what I mean? Like, just so many things. I was his companion. I was his rock, but he was sometimes overbearing with, like, I don't know, all the time we were together and I stayed with him and waited for him. He still would always accuse me of, like, cheating or whatever. So I never did anything. I never went out. I lost myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was. That's why I call myself a mom bot, because that's what I was. There wasn't any other part to me. Like, I couldn't express myself to him without him coming back thinking I was critiquing, or, you know what I mean? It was a lot of things. Obviously, I would have changed. I would have never wanted it to end like this. But like I said, people see me out, they see me happy, they see me posting or doing my thing, like having a good time, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what he wanted me to do.
Yeah. Have they been criticizing?
I mean?
They've been criticizing you?
Oh no, actually my brother-in-law was like, "Go get it, girl," when we were at Yankees, you know. He was like rooting me on to go get some, but I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that. But, it's just a lot of people, like, I see, widows on my Facebook, and they're like, their husband died like 2 years ago and they're still like in a fog, and I can't do that.
Yeah.
What is it going to do for me?
Yeah.
What's it going to do for me? I already wasted so much time, like, I just feel like, don't let people waste your time because it's so precious and
do
it
you
can
feel
be gone.
Do you feel that that relationship was a waste of time?
No.
Or is it just
I
the
feel
aspects?
like that person that had told me I was gifted to him to give him a good life. And he was the father to my children, all of them, and he was great. He taught them so much. He was always there, aside from the drug use, but he missed Christmases, he missed birthdays, he missed a lot of stuff that can't time and nothing to bring it back,
I can see how
so
this.
it's definitely not a waste of time, but I lost myself.
I can see how this would be considered controversial for you to say this.
Yeah.
At the same time, you said something really important, and I know that it's true because I sat here and watched Steve say this, is that he said that he wanted you to be happy and he wanted you to enjoy yourself. So you're going to obviously have bow and arrows shot in your direction. And no matter what you do, even if you were, crying and wallowing in sorrow, you're going to have a lot of people that would love to see that from you.
Right.
But then you're going to
Like,
also have people that's going to say, oh, put your big girl panties on.
Right, because after a few weeks, people stop checking on you.
Yeah.
People stop checking in, or you know what I mean? And it's like...
Yeah, you said that to me, because that's why I always reach out to you, because, I just know that that's what happens.
Yeah, and then, like, it's always in the back of my head every day. Every single day when I wake up, it's there.
Yeah.
It's not something that I just, he died and I forgot about it. I just choose to use this as my motivation to do, like, all the things that I promised him I was going to do. I'm going to do it, and my kids are going to do it, and we're going to do it happy. And
I would defend
I'm
you.
going to be a bad bitch.
I will. Yeah, I will. I will defend you on this only because, like I said, it was what he said.
Yeah.
And the thing is that is him being probably self-aware for the first time ever.
Yeah.
According to what you're saying.
Yeah, because he would say, like, there's just, like, so much stuff. Like, I would try to keep Jay out of the house when he was real sick, so we'd go to parks and stuff like that, and he would be like, when I'm gone, you guys will be able to go and do whatever you want. And he was never a burden.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to say that. But it was a full-time job, taking care of him and, making sure he was okay. And he was never like an independent guy.
Yeah.
Like I would tell people, he didn't know how to use a dishwasher. He didn't know how to use a washer. I think I see him use a vacuum like 3 times, and the whole time we were together. Like,
So you're
He wouldn't have survived if I wasn't there.
what you're doing is you're saying your dirty truth. A lot of people will look at this and say, "Damn, Melissa's taking credit for everything." But I just feel like you're just being brutally honest. And it's very difficult to walk that line. It's like a balancing act. Because I hear you loud and clear, but other people are not going to hear you. They're going to hear what they feel you're saying. But I can see right through what you're saying, and what you're saying is, listen, I love this guy with all my heart and soul, but
Clearly,
I have to be
shows.
But I have to be honest that it really was dragging you down. It's okay to say something like that, because I feel like anybody that I dated in the past, I feel like I will say positive things about them, even if there was negative things. I'll put the negative things last. And if they go and say something about me and say, hey, this guy sucked, I would say, you know what? I hate to admit it, but you're right. That version of me sucked. And I'm aware that I did this and did that. People see it differently, though, because he's not here. And they feel like that you're attacking the dead. And in reality, all you're doing is just saying what you just never said before.
Like a lot of people never... so many people just don't, and even still, because I could talk for forever about all the crazy shit that went on, but a lot of people don't, nobody knows what really went on, and...
What's the worst thing that we don't know?
Oh my God. So, when he finally stopped using heroin, he used meth to stop wanting to do heroin.
Perfect.
The meth saga of my life was undoubtedly the worst time of my life. The worst 8 months of my entire existence. It turned him in, like you see on TV where people get psycho, it turned him into a complete psychopath.
So meth is the worst drug.
I would much rather him have been doing heroin or smoking crack, like hands down.
So what was so jerkish about him with heroin, or you said meth?
So he would obsess over, not only would he be up for days and he never did it in the house. He was always in the garage. He had this little corner and couch in the garage where he kind of I call him a little meth nest. And he would stay out there for days at a time. And he would obsess over me cheating, me having affairs. He would have people follow me. He would track phone records. He would track my Google, my email, literally every aspect of my life. When I left, I had my phone. When I came in the door, I had to give him my phone. And he would just threaten to kill himself all the time. He would just do crazy, off the wall, unexplainable nut shit. And he would have his friends following me to clients' houses. He would go through my client list, calling them to make sure that they were clients. Insanity. And one night, he was just off the wall. So I tried to... Jackson was a baby, and I tried to take him and leave, and he slammed me on the wall by my neck. But he never, hit me or anything. I think he was oh, shit. But just that whole 6 months was like that every single day with the phone and the tracking and the call logs. And I'm like, dude, if I was doing anything, you damn sure would have found it by now. You were Captain Investigation. It was insane. And then, so his idea to stop meth was to do a shot of heroin. And he told me that he was just going to do a shot and he was just going to end it all and I wouldn't have to worry about him anymore. And he did the, every day it was, I'm going to kill myself thing. So I just, I brushed it off that night. And my house, my garage is an attached garage, but you can, instead of it locking from the kitchen, it locks from the garage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're trying to get into the garage from the kitchen, you're not getting in if he locked the door. So there was a door there, and then like a man door. He locked both doors, and he did that shot, and he overdosed, and it was all locked. I couldn't get in, so I had to get my son to kick the door in, and found him again. And I think at that time he had a warrant for not reporting to probation because he was dirty. So I had to call 911, and they ended up getting him and taking him to jail, and he got off of meth, but
So
it was crazy.
So
he would just
constantly-
be up for days at a time, and he'd be like, "I'm working." I'm like, dude, you're not working.
it sounds like constantly you were always with his life hanging in a balance, and
Yeah, that's what that'll give you a heart attack. Don't do it.
that sounds like an extraordinarily stressful situation.
Yeah.
That because any minute it's going to be up to you if he lives or dies, or
Yes.
even the kids sometimes.
Yes.
That sounds like really, really frightening.
Yeah.
And so
it was every day. It was every day for 8 years. You know, if it, like my peace times were the times where he was in jail or rehab or whatever. That's when I could sleep at night. That's when like I knew he was okay, and like I was perfectly content with him locked up.
And so what do you say to people that hear you say this and they feel like that you're trashing him? What would you say if someone say, "Hey, why are you trashing this guy?" Because I see it loud and clear what you're saying. But
yeah, anybody who knows me knows that I'm not. If you don't know me, then I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, but this is what it is, and I feel like anybody that knows me, his brother, I mean, that's really the only person left that's really close to him. His aunt.
I think I met his aunt.
I didn't love him. Who would have did that?
Well, it sounds like
Who would have?
it sounds like you loved him more than you loved you.
I did.
In order for you to stay in that environment, that sounds
And
like
even like everything that we did, like even after, you know, he was sick, like everything was for him. So he could be happy. So I just always wanted him to experience a good life. That's all I wanted for him.
Do you think he realized all the things that he did to you, and that's why at the end he says he wants you to be happy, because he was basically saying, "Hey, I owe this to you."
I think so,
to say this to you.
because he talked to a lot of people when he found out that he was gonna pass. Some of them I don't know what he said, but a lot of them, you know, he told them, just make sure she doesn't get with any of my friends, but I want her to do everything, you know, I want her to be happy. And so it's not that I loved him, you know, I loved him more than I loved myself. I cared about his well-being more than my own, and sometimes more than my kids, that I will forever be angry at myself for that. But I knew that it was never an intentional thing. Like he never would intentionally hurt us. And I think that's what I did. A lot of schooling on drug abuse and learned, you know, that they don't just, you know, wake up and think that they want to get high, or, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want to wake up and ruin their lives. They don't want that. But he just wasn't. Me, I'm a pretty headstrong person. If I say I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do something. I'm not going to let you see me break my word, you know? He wasn't like that, because he would find, like, a reason, like, oh, I had a really bad day, or, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And I just don't think he was ever really taught not to be like that. From a young age, his mom kind of, you know, taught him. She was having a good time, you know, so this must be a good time. But I saw my parents and I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, then some people just take it differently. And
The picture that is coming really sharply into focus for me right now is this, is that the perception could be, oh man, look at what happened to her. Like, just not even a year married and this disaster happened. I'm starting to see you not as a victim, but as a survivor. And I think that you are coming out of this in a way that you're going to be it's not like you're going to come out unscathed.
Right.
You're going to still feel some type of way. Forever, no matter how old you get, you're going to remember these moments, and it's going to suck on some level. It'll suck less and less and less as time wear on. I can tell that you have a great deal of love and compassion for him, and also a certain measure of respect. Having said that, I think that you're finally now getting to a place where you can say, you know what, I probably deserve some respect from myself.
That's right.
And that's what I see. You're
like
a
an
survivor.
epiphany, like, okay, I'm gonna use this like a power move, like I'm gonna find myself, because I don't know who I was anymore.
So you're gonna get your own house. You're gonna be a rock star.
Yeah.
And what's your biggest ambition that you can see for yourself in the next, say, 5 years?
5 years, I hope to own a house in 5 years. I should have owned a house at 25, but better late than never. But I hope to own a house. I hope the business is going well, because it's killing my back, and that I can finally use my degree, and just everything's going good. My daughter's she actually starts school tomorrow. She starts high school. And she was already put into college courses, so pretty cool. I just don't want to allow everybody else's problems or burdens to affect my life in such a way that I forget who I am again.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let that happen.
Do you feel like you found yourself in these
I feel like I'm finding myself, like... I think about him every day, and I'm sad for a little bit every day, but I'm a go-getter, and, I just can't, I'm not a sad person.
Yeah.
I don't like to be sad. I don't like to be angry. It's just not who I am, and I'm just going to strive to be better. And, him getting sick and going through all that he did really really gave me a motivation. Like, my kids, if something happens to me, they got nobody.
You said that.
Nobody, except for my cousin, Deontay.
Right. Cousin and Billy Badass.
It's me. Like, it's me. And I'm like, you're like, shit, like, I got to get this done, Like, yeah. I don't have time to sit around and, like Steve said, I don't have time to sit around and die. I don't have time to sit around and be sad, and
You said something really important to me probably a few weeks ago in a message. You said, these kids, they need to be taken care of, and I can't afford to just sit around and be sad. Basically you have to do stuff. And I think that you have broken a barrier that a lot of women just can't break, and actually men too. Some men are in the same position that you are in, believe it or not. It's just not publicized, and I applaud you for that. Like I said, I don't see anything about you that says victim. Before, I was always worried, oh my God, is this going to be like the end of things? But I feel like you cracked the code, you solved the puzzle, you figured out the Rubik's Cube. That's what I think you did. And I want to salute you for that, because like I said, you're going to take a lot of backlash from people for many years. And the funny thing is that a lot of those same people are probably dealing with the same types of things and allowing themselves to be a doormat. And I love Steve. Right. I love him because
I love him too. I love him.
I love he's amazing enough to where I loved him just in that one time I saw him.
The real person that he was what I held on to. All of that time I was just waiting for that to come back.
Yeah. So I just think that it's a blessing that you went through this experience. I always say that life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. And just like they said that you were there for Steve for the reason that it was to make his life better, you were put through this because you needed to learn these very specific lessons. And it's going to carry you forward. And it's also going to give you more value as a person because now your story contains this triumph. This is still considered a triumph because you were able to see yourself and say, I wasn't living who I'm supposed to live, and now because of those things, not in spite of, I'm going to rise and soar higher. And so I appreciate that, and you're going to be inspirational. You really should have a book. You really should, because you have a lot to share people, and the people will say, man, I wish I could be like that, you know, but you know,
that's part of the reason I came was like, don't, anything, whether it be something like this or anything that brings you down, don't let it keep you there.
Yeah.
You know, be sad. Everybody's got to be sad. Everybody's got to have their moments, but don't let it keep you there because it's not going to help. It's not going to fix nothing.
Like I always say, you're never down. You're either up or you're getting up.
Yes.
And right now, you got at
10
least
toes down.
You got at least a foot and a half, you know, standing up. But you're awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. You're pretty awesome.
Why? Thank you.